Hey y'all, it's Foggy, and we're at my home today. It is almost July 2019. We've had a significant amount of rain here in southern Tennessee over the past couple of years, and my deck posts have started to have a lot of rot. They placed them on top of a concrete pad, then they put dirt around them about 20 something years ago, and so when I discovered the problem, it scared me a little bit. So I came up with an idea using some brackets and some concrete to replace these things without having to be charged an arm and a leg. So we're going to go through the video and show you some things some ideas I came up with. Leave comments, and I hope you like the video. But just know this: I'd rather be fishing today. So here's one of the posts. This is one of the worst ones. It was up against a concrete pad that they poured, and then they just set it straight down and covered it up with dirt. And you can see how significant that rot is in there. And I've actually let it dry for a while. It was also up against a down spout for a gutter, and it would just fill up with water, and just a bad thing. Before we get started here, you got to make sure that you get this thing blocked up really well. What I used is I've got some old stones, stack them up here, and use a hydraulic jack with that 4x4. And what I did is I put 2 nails on the inside of that 4x4. I don't know if you can see right there. So keep it from shifting. And that jacked it up pretty good. So now we're ready to cut. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to use a square to level this thing off. Already kind of started here a little bit, but I'll show you how I did this. We've got, there's your square, so we're marking it just kind of all the way around. And right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this portion out, and then we're going to take this bracket and place that bracket right in there, do some cement around it. Okay, so now we got, there's our rotten part. We'll take it out. And I do use a reciprocating saw, and this thing works really well. So here's our piece that we just cut out of this thing. Now we're going to kick it out of there. As you can see, here is the rot that we were dealing with. I mean, you can, just unbelievable. You know, how many more years did this thing have? I don't know. Not many. And have this thing shift and fall. So now we're stable, we're cut. Our jack's holding everything up here. So now we're gonna pour some concrete, put a former in, show you how to do all that. Okay, so now before we get pouring our concrete, this is our bracket that we're going to use. And this thing is it's a Simpson Strong tie, and I'll have a link to this in the video. You can get them mostly at Lowe's or Home Depot, but I actually ordered these off Amazon because I couldn't find any in stock. So what we're going to do, we're going to simply place this little fella. You can see I've already got my former here, so I went and got it in the way so everything will fit. Get that out of the way. And you know, when you're putting this thing in, you want to, you're going to be putting your bolts through, so you want to make sure that you don't see any cracks in there. So maybe try to run your bolts in a direction opposite of those cracks if you see any. So what we'll do, we're just going to anchor this thing on just temporarily so it sets up. Put a couple little screws in here. So now we are ready for concrete. We're going to fill this thing up, but we're not going to take it all the way to the top of the former. We're just going to take it to the very edge of the metal bracket. Okay, so we got our concrete finally finished up and leveled up a little bit. My former's not exactly even, but that's where I cut it. But the way these Simpson brackets work, it's got a little bit of an area where the 6x6 goes down. It's got a little air space, so it keeps, you know, if you get that concrete right where it's supposed to be, keeps that keeps it from staying moist the whole time, so it doesn't rot. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my bolts through and get those tightened down, and then we'll let everything cure, and it'll be ready to go in a couple days. Whether you should go ahead and pre-drill those holes before your concrete sets. You know, you think you want the bracket to be solid up against that wood before the concrete sets, so when you drop the when you drop your jack over there, you don't want anything to settle. So you know, interesting to see the comments in the comment section on that one, but I went ahead and pre-drilled it. Concrete's getting close to being set, but still got a few days for it to cure solid. But I went ahead and did that, so we'll go ahead and put some bolts in this thing. Here we go. Kind of tough to drill those areas from one end to the other and on a straight line. So a little tip, you might want to drill about halfway on one side, try to drill straight halfway on the other side, maybe you'll meet. Maybe. Okay. And I will use, they're using carriage bolts here with a lock washer on that one side. Seems like Simpson makes those holes a little bit small for the square portion of that carriage bolt to go through. So I took it to the grinder and just slightly rounded the edges of that square on the inside of that bolt so it'll seat a little better. We'll get this tightened down a little more right here. And we probably don't have to over tighten just yet. It just makes sure that the bolts are stabilizing this bracket, so when you drop that weight, you won't have any of the wood settling inside of the bracket. The wood and the bracket will act as one when you drop that weight on the cured concrete. Okay, so we've let this concrete cure now for about 2 weeks. I've even done some painting since then. So we're ready to drop this thing. Yep, this jack has held for that long, so works pretty good. So we're going to drop this. Pray everything's okay. Here we go. Alright, so there you go. She is now released, and notice we had no settling. So as you can see, we didn't have any settling. Everything's cured nicely, everything's bolted down nicely. I hope this has helped alleviate any problems that anyone out there may have, like we did with that wood rot down at the base of this, without having to replace the entire post. Feel free to make any comments, feel free to subscribe, and as always, God bless.